Hey, it's December 7th, 2020. And look, so I've done several videos where I pontificated and theorized on what's going on in the world. The truth is, I don't know. I only know that something is changing, something is happening. And oftentimes I've looked at the most dire scenarios, and because I was a planner for much of my life, and I've looked at what is the highest threat, what's the biggest danger to us as families and individuals. Sometimes that comes off as very dark, right? I was talking to someone that I love very much recently, and they said to me when we were talking about their future, I don't see the point. Everything's going to, you know, everything's going bad, and what's the point? Well, this video is to talk about what the point is, because there is a point. And it could be true that terrible things happen in this big change. But terrible things have happened before. It could be worse than everything before. But there's some truths that should give you hope and make you realize that it all does matter. So I wrote a small article, and I'm doing this video for both for youngsters. You know, if you're 20 years old, 21 years old, or younger, and you're looking at the world, and you're wondering what my generation did, what the millennials are doing, what our if you're wondering what people have done to the world before, and wondering what that does to your future, well, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Because life's worth living. Um, Except up front, there's certain things that can be true at the same time. They're not mutually exclusive. Right? Things can be bad and life can be hard, but life is still a precious blessing and it's still worth living. Humans are often foolish and silly, and you can look around and you know that to be true. Um, the notion of trying to be relevant in society is nonsensical, because society often itself is nonsensical. But people, the individuals, we're all a creation created in God's image, and so they aren't just irrelevant. Um, the opinions of society just don't matter, and especially if you're a young person, and a lot of people that went through their entire life and never got out of this. Popularity is ridiculous. It's all of those things. Being concerned with what other people think about you. The only thing you should be concerned about what other people think about you is what they view your integrity. You know, that's the only thing that matters. Your integrity. So all the other stuff is not relevant. And but look, individuals matter, and the things that they own, their integrity, that matters. Your body can be hurt, it can be imprisoned, you can be impoverished, you can be disliked, even killed. But you own your will, your integrity, your spirit, and your soul. You absolutely own those, and they can never be taken away from you. Um, God is in control of everything, but that's true. But we live in the world, we have free will, and we have responsibility. And those two things are not mutually exclusive. So, and you will see camps on both sides. You know, don't worry, God's got this as a plan. This is just a moment. We need to be relevant with society, to get out there and talk to people. There's that camp that would tell you the go along to get along and not worry crowd. And there's the other crowd really that aren't spiritually in touch, that think that we need to control and fix everything, and that it's got to be a man-made solution. both of those things, both of those positions have truth in them. So so accept that, right? And if you accept that, you do your part, you do your duty, you do what you're made to do, you use your talents, and then God is ultimately in control. There's less to worry about. But it's not that you just sit back, hope, pray, and it all works out without you doing what your part. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about our metaphysical reality, the spiritual and the physical. But even when you lose, and even when you can't affect the outcome, it's all okay, right? Even if what's happening right now goes as bad as it could possibly go, it's all okay. Because if you look back across history at some of the most atrocious examples of people that were suffering, were enslaved, impoverished, conquered, oppressed, lived under real diseases that where people went to bed at night and didn't wake up by the thousands. If you look at all of that, humans still found a way to love, to live, to have hope, to do what they were made to do. And most of those people maintain faith. And there's obviously examples in history where people gave up, maybe entire people, maybe entire cultures and groups. We don't hear about them because they gave up and they went away. But those that persevered, we know their stories, and we have their art, and we have their songs, and we have their stories because they did what they were supposed to do in the circumstances in which they found themselves. And the notion that they didn't have happiness during the Black Plague, or that Hebrews that were enslaved either in Babylon or in Egypt didn't have happiness and love, create things, art. Those are false notions. Those people, even in those circumstances, even in the Trail of Tears, and even in the midst of the Holocaust, there's examples of love and people finding joy in the worst sort of circumstances. So don't look at the future and think, well, what's the point? Because there is a point. And even if it got as bad as those people somehow, there's still a point. And it's not likely to get as bad as those people, perhaps. Like throughout human history, humans have just lived their lives under the most austere circumstances. Have hope, play a part, and have faith, because, like we used to always say in the Army, and a youngster told me once, like this is all he learned at West Point. It could be worse, right? So you show up at a new place, and here's your tent and there's your cot. Oh, it could be worse. It's got a tent and a cot. Oh, there's chow hall over there. Oh, it's dehydrated stuff that they've added water to. It could be worse, right? It always could be worse. And even when it's as bad as you think it could be, you still own your integrity, your spirit, your will, and your soul. And nobody can ever take that away from you. And if you have faith in God, you have His love and His protection. And He'll never give you something more than you can bear. You read and reread the book of Job. So yeah, the future, we don't know what it will become. We should be aware enough to know that things are changing in a significant way. And we should stand ready to play our part, whatever this comes. But whatever the outcome, life will go on. People that lived along the Silk Road, throughout the period where that was a main trade thoroughfare from China to Europe, they, where there's money, there's power that seeks to have influence. So as power vacuums were filled by seceding empires, the people that lived along the Silk Road, they continued, right? A new ruler, a new empire rolls through, and they just persevered, carried on. So that's just our life sometimes requires us just to do the duty of living and enjoying life, and doing our part to shape our world and to maintain truth. Here's some facts. Know these. Our metaphysical reality consists of the spiritual and the physical, and we can never understand both of them. So everything you see around you, everything, all the chaos, all the drama, all the fear about diseases, and about what's happening to the government, and what will happen. Will you live under a socialist dystopia that taxes you to the point where you don't want to work? I don't know. But all that would fall under the physical part. Through means, they may wish to divorce you from the spiritual part, but they cannot, right? Man can't control the spiritual part. We barely understand the physical realm. We can't understand the spiritual realm. But we exist as humans, as creations of God, in both of those worlds. But you have to understand that, and if you get too wrapped up on either one of them, that all of our fate is just in the hands of God, and He'll just make happen whatever He wants. That's not the right attitude. But to be so concerned with the world that it robs you of your joy and creates fear inside of you is also not the right attitude. Money, pleasure, stuff, that's all physical. It's all physical. It's nice, but at the end of the day, it's just one of the realms in which we, as humans with a soul, that we exist in. And obviously, it goes without saying, God is real. Clearly, in 2020, there's something happening, and we don't know how this is all going to play out and what our future will look like. It's people that still are putting their heads in the sand and think that nothing is going to happen in the next few months are probably very naive. But life will continue after this, and we'll just do our duty, and then after, whatever comes after, we will continue to be who we're supposed to be, and it'll be all right. Even when it doesn't seem all right, it'll be all right. The only thing you own ever, your integrity, your free will, your spirit, and your soul, that's the only thing you have ownership of. And life always has meaning. Never fall into the notion that it doesn't have meaning. That's giving over to an ideology that is wrong from the inception. Life has meaning. Everything in life has meaning. The small stuff, the big stuff, the present, the moment, and the future. It all has meaning. It's a gift. It has meaning. But so let's take the fears that some are feeling now as they look and they say, bad things are happening. Well, if you were to imagine every conspiracy theory and every dystopian novel and every story, every movie that you've ever seen, and put them all together and assume that they're real, and that's where we're headed, it looks something like this right here, right? And we would be heading for something right in the middle of those. And, and you can see elements of all those things as potentialities. What would that mean, right? You would still be a human with free will. You would still be a human gifted at life and responsibilities, right? It would be okay. It would not be ideal. It would not be preferred. And that's the worst case scenario, that all of these terrible things come together to put us right there. But if you understand there's truth and you understand the metaphysical reality of the universe and you understand who you are really, there's circumstances and just that you find yourself in the physical world matter much less. You Each one of those stories, interestingly enough, those fictional stories that are depicted in the circles there, they all contain stories of heroes or anti-heroes that push back against the system in their own way. These aren't just stories of people being beaten down, and they're stories of people that act like humans in terrible times. There's something to that, right? So even if it was as bad as the craziest theory on the internet could tell you, and that's how it all turns out, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world until the creator of the world decides it is. So, look, question everything, because everything is deception and it will continue to be much more so. And most of the people around you will fall for those deceptions. Think logically, ground yourself in truth, walk your own path, be vigilant, use discernment, and use your talents and take action and live life. So that means as you look out across your future and what you should be doing right now the thing that you feel inside of you that you should do, right? Go get the degree, become a lawyer, become whatever it is you feel you ought to be, and don't give up. Don't give up. Because we do not know. We do not know if this is the future, or if somehow humans break all of this in 2020 and we have something brighter. All you know is what God created you as and what skills and talents He gave you. So use those and expand those and have hope, right? Don't give up. Don't have fear. Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened. Do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Even when it doesn't appear that you're getting a lot of help, even when it doesn't appear that things are going the way they're supposed to go. The universe is bigger than just us, right? Just you and I, and there's a much bigger plan. But you're not going to be abandoned ultimately in the complete reality that you exist in. The last thing, don't be afraid to speak your truth. To rebuke magnificently, as C.S. Lewis would say. And it will be harder and harder if things aren't corrected. But don't be dismayed by that. I mean, just know that that's the truth. That's your reality, that it will be harder to speak your truth. But don't give up on the truth. Keep your chin up. Be who God created you to be and seek truth. Speak truth. Seek and speak truth. Maybe you can't be as vocal about things as I am later in life. Maybe, if things turn out a certain way. But you can be vocal in your own way. And maybe you just don't become me. But, right? And here's a video of a guy that I think is speaking to me. But look, just be you and don't be afraid, and live your life and use your talents. Here's a guy talking about me.
These Calvinists are the most pompous, arrogant jackasses you have ever met in your life, man. I mean, they are.
All right. Be good. Be happy. Don't be afraid.